friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Mal and I am the owner and maker of Made by Manny and Mal. In today's video, we're going to be making a cup inspired by my Patreon group monthly challenge. In November, the theme was holiday traditions, so I challenged my members to make a cup that was all about one of the traditions that they have in their family during the holidays. In my family, we are a very big baking and cooking group, so I wanted to base my cup on that. We do a ton of baking around the holidays. We make cookies for literally everybody and we hand them out. We take them to our neighbors and our friends, and it's a really big ordeal every Christmas. Manny's the baker. I'm okay, but Manny's really the one who bakes a lot. So I'm using my grandmother's recipe for sugar cookies. We're gonna put that on the cup using her handwriting, and we're gonna do some little 3D sugar cookies on there as well. I really love how this turned out, and I hope that you enjoy the video. I hope it inspires you. And if you want to get in on the next monthly challenge in my Patreon group, along with a bunch of other benefits, including free SVGs, live tutorials, all kinds of fun stuff, the link is down below in the description box. And now is the perfect time to join because it's the beginning of the month, so you'll get the full value of your monthly installment. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's go. Okay, so we are jumping right in with a 20-ounce traditional from Craft Haven. I've already base painted it. I used cream spray paint from Montana Colors as the hardcore line, and we're going to go in with Sea Glass from PDB. We're using the Crystalac glitter glue to apply our glitter. You guys know I've been loving this method, and I'm using a 1.5 inch thick brush to apply the glitter glue. I got these brushes at Walmart, but they also have them on Amazon. I'm going to brush a thin layer all over the entire surface of the cup. You don't want this to be so thin that it dries up really quickly, but you also don't want it to be too thick where like the glitter will pool up or you like soak into it. So just a really nice even coat. Sea Glass is one of my favorite colors from PDB. It is absolutely beautiful. If you don't have it, you need it. I have it in a big shaker because I use a lot of it. So I'm covering this entire cup with the Sea Glass. I'm kind of going for a little bit of a kind of sugar cookie color-ish. I went in with 2 coats of epoxy. I waited about 6 hours in between each coat, and now I'm ready to create my sugar cookies that we're going to put on the side of this cup. I'm using this DOS or DAS air dry clay because I still have a bunch of it from when I made my gnome tumbler way back. So I'm going to use it up, but you can use polymer clay, you can use the Culture Sculpt or Epoxy Sculpt from CCDIY. There are a ton of options. Use whatever you like to work with best or whatever's easier for you to use. So I'm just taking a big kind of lump of this, and you're supposed to use either lotion or wet hands, so I'm just wetting my gloved hands to help me work with this a little bit, and I'm just rolling it out. And I'm going to use cookie cutters that I got on Amazon in a pack, and I'm going to cut out some like sugar cookies. I'm doing this the exact same way I would if I was actually making cookies. So I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to get rid of all the excess around the shape, and then very carefully get that shape out of the cookie cutter. This is not the easiest thing to do, but it's not super difficult either, so you can totally do it. Just make sure that you don't make your cookies too thick. Your cookies, your molds, models, your cookies. Don't make them too thick. You want them to be actually like the thickness of a cookie. And I'm going to just take this and lay it down on my cup and just kind of flatten it down onto the surface of my cup. I haven't sanded or done anything to the cup. This is right after epoxy. I'm just kind of molding this now and smoothing it onto the side of my cup. We are going to secure it onto the cup, so don't worry about that. We're going to seal it with epoxy and everything, so it will be just fine on there. I'm going in next with a little gingerbread man, and I did mess up a couple times. I had to re-roll or re-flatten my little clay out. You can go in and you can redo it as many times as you need to. So just be patient, take your time, and you can do it. I did use my vinyl scraper to help me get the clay off of my parchment paper and kind of get it up so I wouldn't ruin it. And that worked out really well. So that's a good tip for you guys. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to place him down on the side of my cup and kind of smooth him down. I'm trying to not alter the shape of this clay in any way. I just really want to kind of get it flat and smoothed out. I am by no means a 3D tumbler expert, a clay expert, anything like that. I am very, very, very beginner level, but I just wanted to show you how I put this together. You do not have to be a mega artist or a crazy sculptor to do some really cool 3D cups, so don't feel intimidated by it. You can totally do it. The last shape I'm going to do is a candy cane. I was originally going to do the reindeer, but when I cut it out of the clay, it just looked really weird. It didn't look like a reindeer, so I decided to go for the candy cane instead. So once I've got my little sugar cookies laid down on the cup, I'm going to make sure they're laying flat, positioned where I want them, and I'm going to take a baby wipe and clean up any of this excess clay that I might have gotten like from my glove onto the cup or from around the clay that I laid down. I'm also going to clean out the inside of my cup, so we shouldn't have any stray clay. And I let that dry overnight. You're supposed to let it dry 24 hours. I think I waited maybe like 18. But it was dry and good to go. I'm taking this acrylic paint I got at Hobby Lobby, and it's the perfect like sugar cookie golden brown kind of cookie dough color, and I'm just going to very carefully paint the surface of the cookies. I'm also going to paint the edges, and I'm using this brush that is kind of angled and has a sharp edge to it, so it was really easy to get in there and paint the edges. I did have a little trouble around the curved parts of the other cookies, but once I was done, I just took a baby wipe and cleaned up the excess paint, whatever that I didn't want on the cookie or wherever spilled over into the edge or onto the surface of the cup. I just cleaned it right up with a baby wipe. Easy peasy. Acrylic paint is super easy to clean up, so don't feel like you have to paint super exact and clean. I shoved a little popsicle stick into my baby wipe and kind of wrapped the baby wipe around it to help me get into those little nooks and crannies and clean those out. And it really worked out pretty well. I got everything cleaned up. We didn't have any paint traces or remnants on the cup, and everything was good. I let this dry. I think I let it dry overnight, maybe at least 6 hours I waited for it to dry, which is probably too long. Acrylic paint dries really, really quickly. You just want it to be totally dry before you move into the next step. Because for the next step, we're going to decorate our cookies. So I really wanted to decorate these how I would a normal sugar cookie. So what I'm going to do first is take some UV resin and just do a really thin coat on the surface of those cookies to give us a nice base to work with. I'm just using my gloved finger to spread this UV resin over the surface of the sugar cookies, and then I'm going to put it under my lamp, my curing lamp. I got this on Amazon, for about 2 minutes to cure that resin so we have a nice hard epoxied shiny surface to do all of our decorating on. You can obviously decorate your cookies however you wanted to. If you wanted to just use paint markers, or if you wanted to leave them this way, if you wanted to paint your designs on plain, you can do whatever you want with this design. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of green acrylic paint and mix it with some UV resin to create like a frosting almost. When you make these sugar cookies, you put on a little layer of frosting, and then you go ahead and add your sprinkles and all of your other little decorations. So in my head, using the UV resin as the frosting would really give it that kind of texture, because it's kind of almost 3D. It's not really just painted on there because it's frosting. So that's what I was trying to create with this UV resin application of my frosting. Once I had the green on there, I cured it. I cured everything kind of throughout this process because I didn't want it dripping or traveling around the cup. I really just wanted it to stay where it was meant to be. For the candy cane, I'm taking some mica powder that I got in one of my ALE subscription boxes, and I'm going to cover the entire surface of that candy cane with this. It's kind of like a shimmery white. It's from Unicorn Dust Micas. I'm going to cure that, and then I'm going to go in with the gingerbread color, and I believe this is Sarah from Simply Sarah's Custom Creations. I will have the name linked down below though. And I'm going to frost my little gingerbread man cookie. So I really like how this gives it like that actual frosting texture, how I was saying before, because you spread it on with your popsicle stick and it really feels like you're frosting an actual real life cookie. Once I had those base frosting layers down, I went back in with some paint pens and added all of my little detailing. So for the candy cane, I took a red acrylic paint pen. These are from Arteza, and I'm going to draw on all of my red candy striping. If you don't have paint pens, you can use just regular acrylic paint and a brush. That's also a great option. Or you can just leave them as is if you wanted to just do the plain frosting. You can also do some glitter. You can do, if you have little rhinestones, you can place those on here. The possibilities are endless. Like I said, you can decorate the cookies however you want. So then I went in with my Christmas tree decorations. I just did some little dotting to be like the little lights and ornaments. And then I decorated my gingerbread man, like a really cute little gingerbread man. I added a little bow tie, which I wasn't super fond of. I should have just left him as is. And then I gave him a little teal pair of pants or belt, whatever. So here's what they look like all done and decorated. I'm gonna go right in with another coat of epoxy after the paint markers dried. I let them dry about 45 minutes. And that coat of epoxy was about 15 to 20 milliliters. For the back of this cup, we're going to be using the recipe that we used to bake the cookies in my house around Christmas time. This is in my grandmother's handwriting. This is her recipe, and I put this together and printed it out on clear printable vinyl. I will make a video and show you how I got from this like recipe card with her writing to the file that I could print out on clear printable vinyl. I will post that video in my Facebook group. So if you're not a member of my Facebook group, make sure you join. That is linked down below in the description box. I also have a link to my Patreon group, which is separate. Patreon is a paid group, but you get a bunch of additional benefits. So that is linked down below as well. This cup, as you guys know, is the monthly challenge entry for the Holiday Traditions Challenge in my Patreon group. So if you want to get in on the next challenge, now is the perfect time to do it because it's the beginning of the month. And you'll get the full value for your monthly payment. Anyway, I am applying this clear printable vinyl just like a sticker. I cut out the excess clear from around the image just to make it a little bit easier to apply. And because this is a tapered cup, I'm cutting little slits in the decal or the vinyl to help me lay it down and make sure I don't have any creasing or bumps or anything as I apply. And I'm going really, really slow. This vinyl isn't super fragile, but it's not very repositionable either. Like you don't want to be lifting it up and moving it around and all of that because you'll kind of see where you do that. So just be really careful as you do this. I took the felt side of my squeegee and just rubbed out any air bubbles. I had one little one up at the top, so I did lift that up using my tweezers and I repositioned it. I kind of cut that little slit that way and then laid it down, and it was totally fine. You can't tell under epoxy. I'm going to seal this with one thin coat of epoxy, like 10 milliliters maybe, and then I'm going to add a little bit more detailing to our sugar cookie area to give this a little bit more pizzazz and fun throughout. I have all of these really cute different sprinkle packs from a bunch of different companies, and they're all holiday theme, and I thought it would be really cute to just kind of sprinkle these or place these around the sugar cookies because they're sprinkles and it's just kind of along with that sweet, dessert kind of sugar cookie tradition. So I've got my UV resin and I squirted a little bit onto the bottom of a mixing cup, and I'm taking the end of a thin paintbrush and I'm using that to kind of dab a little of it onto my cup so that I can place my sprinkle down. The first one I put down is this little candy cane from Glitter Heart Company, and I put that down by itself because it's kind of bigger, so I'm curing it for just about 60 seconds and then I'm going to move in to applying the rest of the sprinkles to the cup. I poured a few of them into this little medicine cup, and I'm just going to kind of pick and choose using my tweezers what I want to place where, and I'm using the end of that paintbrush to dab a little bit into my UV resin and just do a little dot on the cup. This is kind of like placing rhinestones on your nails. Like you do a little dot of the clear polish or the glue and then you place the rhinestone down. That's what I can think of, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of randomly placing these down, trying to make it look kind of sporadic, but make it look like not everything is perfectly placed either or strategically placed. And I'm just going to go until I feel satisfied with how it looks, basically. You can do as many of these as you want. You can do more cookies if you wanted to, but I really just wanted to fill up this space, and the sprinkles seemed like the perfect way to do that. Once I have a decent amount of sprinkles on the cup or in a certain area. I am going to cure them with my lamp so that they don't move around as I work my way around the cup. I'm curing them the full 2 minutes, so they will be fully cured. They're not going anywhere, and then I'll be able to work on the rest of the cup without worrying about those moving all the way around everywhere, you know? I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around the cup. I'm not doing too much around the recipe portion. I really want to keep the recipe portion flat so that you have a flat area of the cup that you can hold. So it's not 3D the whole way around, just makes it easier to hold. This is probably just going to end up being a cute little Christmas decoration in my house, but just in case we want to carry it around, I wanted to leave at least one side of it pretty flat. Once all of my UV resin with my sprinkles was cured, I went right into my final coats of epoxy. This took 2 final coats. I just wanted to have enough epoxy over those sprinkles that they weren't like pokey or anything like that, but it's not going to be ever like totally smooth like a non-3D cup, of course. So I added 2 coats of about 20 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy each. And once they were cured, we are all done with this cup. I love how this turned out. It's so fun and really gives me all of the nostalgic Christmas homey family feels. So I really hope that you enjoyed it as well. Remember, if you would like to join my Patreon, the link is in the description box below. I would love to have you in that group. We have a whole lot of fun in there and it's really a good time. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow for our next 12 days of Christmas video. Okay, love you. Bye.